So in this video, we're going to be upscaling this image of a cyborg, which is an AI image generated in Flux. And the file size of this is quite small, or the document size, should I say. It's 825 by 460 pixels, and it's just over 100 kilobytes in actual file size on the hard drive, which is fairly small all round. Now, before I get into actually the upscale parameters here, I just want to zoom in with this magnification slider here. So we're not upscaling at the moment, we're just literally zooming in over 100% on the original pixels, just to sort of see what we're looking at here, because this is quite a crunchy starting point. Some images you work on, they might be blurry, they might have been softened by a previous processes, or just that way out the camera if it's a photograph, or a bad AI sort of render. But this one's very crunchy and crisp, as you can see. There's lots of sort of aliasing artifacts and pixelation and things like that, and some JPEG compression on some of the finer details. So it's always worth a closer look at your starting point, which might help guide you as to the direction you take when you start changing the parameters. So I'm going to go up to the upscale amount in the top right corner here, and I'm going to go to 4 times, which is kind of my go-to for just generic upscales if I don't have a specific target in mind. I'll go to that, which gives us a nice healthy output size there. And I'm going to go down here. Now, basic models, this is where I spend a little bit of time comparing models, especially if it's come from such a small file. Even though the image quality is quite good, I will still definitely want to add low res into the mix of options that I choose. But because the image is overall a high quality image, it's come from Flux, so the inherent quality of the image is good. It could be that we view a few options together. So I like to do the A/B compare here, this button, and I'm going to choose standard, high fidelity, and low res. So you can choose up to 4. But text and shapes and art and CG, I don't feel are going to be suitable for this, so I'm not going to overcomplicate things. So click compare, and now we've got this view. We've got the standard upscale model on the top left, the high fidelity model on the bottom left, and the low resolution model on the right hand side. So the first thing I like to do is just go into an area of relative detail, where if it's a portrait shot of a person, like the skin texture, where the skin texture is most in focus, or eyelashes, things like that. On an image like this, there is an element of that, but also some of like having a quick look at like the fine details on the metallic elements and things like that. And what I'm looking for is just which one of these models previews gives me what I believe to be the best looking starting point. And that's before we've done any sharpening, denoise, or anything like that. I like to start with everything zeroed, or at least 1, which is with the lowest you can go, and judge it based on the model first, and without any kind of enhancements, because they all have their own different attributes. So I'm just looking at the texture around the nose and the sort of what would be the skin area, and like the lips and also eyelashes. And normally there's one that I don't like that jumps out at me straight away, that I don't feel is working particularly well as the others. And I've got to say, for me at the moment, I think that the low resolution model, even though that normally would be quite a good choice for images that start off that small, I don't like what it's doing to some of the texture on the face. I think it looks a little bit unnatural. So I'm just going to close that. And now we just declutter the view, and we're down to looking at both. So now, standard V2 and high fidelity V2. Now these might look extremely similar on your screen, especially considering you'll be viewing it through YouTube's video compression as well. But I'm just looking at my sort of calibrated screen and just trying to see what's giving me what I believe the best starting point. And there's some texture I'm not a huge fan of on both of them, but we can sort of deal with that with some of these sliders. So I think I'm going to go with high fidelity V2. I think it's got a little bit more natural sort of skin texture here, and although it's kind of quite compressed in the detail here, I think there's a little bit more to play with on the skin sort of texture as well. It's quite close, neither of them are ideal. So I'm going to click on the high fidelity and just click apply model, and now that's going to apply that as the updated model in my preview. So now I can either continue working in this view, whereas if I click and hold the left mouse button, it will update to or it'll show us the before image, and then when I let go, it updates the preview to the after. Or I can choose one of the other preview options, like side by side. I find that you can do a split screen, but I find that isn't very useful for working comparatively like this. So the split screen one's quite good. But we're now at the point where I've chosen the best model that I think is going to be right for this. So now it's more subjective changes. So to be honest, a lot of the time I just like to go to the full screen view. Now what we're going to do here is go down. We're going to skip generative model settings here because that's not something I'm covering in this video. It's not relevant for this particular image. And we've got the model settings down here, which is sharpen, denoise and fixed compression. Now I want to be careful here because if we start sharpening this image, which had a lot of kind of almost like false grain from the aliasing sort of artifacts, if I start sharpening this, it's going to bring out a lot of those ugly artifacts even more. If I just zoom in a bit past 100%, you can see around the mouth, you've got some texture, but then it starts to get very patchy and very strange looking. Now, obviously upscaling this by quite a large amount, so to a certain extent, you know, that's going to be part and parcel of what you get, but I want to mitigate that. So I'm not actually going to sharpen this image at all because I think it will push things too much, and I think the image is actually perfectly sharp as it is. And what I am going to do is denoise. I'm going to increase the denoise, and I don't want it to eradicate all of the texture around the skin area particularly, but what I do want to do is just try to make that a little bit more uniform so this texture doesn't look so. I'd rather have it a little bit smoother than look patchy, and then you can always add a bit of overall fine grain on in Photopea afterwards, or your photo editor of choice. So if I crank the denoise all the way up just to the extreme to show you what it's doing, so it's kind of making around the chin area there super smooth and horrible. Don't like that. So I like to sometimes start with the extremes, then back it off rather than starting with the tiny bit, because sometimes you can't really see what it's doing. I like to do big sweeping movements and then just assess and then tweak it the other way and then tweak it back and forwards until I get to a balance. So there's still some texture there. The texture's definitely better around the skin area. So I'm just going to go on to fixed compression now, because we have got some pretty gnarly compression artifacts on the original, and this is just going to help us to mitigate that. But what it is doing is it's taking away some of the fine texture as part of that fixed compression algorithm. So we might actually need to back off the denoise now to recover some of the slight texture in the skin here. And you might be thinking, well, this is all very subtle, it's not worth spending this time on. You know, if you've got an image and you're trying to make it the best it can possibly be after this process, then in my opinion, it is worth spending another couple of minutes just to balance things out in here. And every image is different. You have to treat them all individually, unless they're from exactly the same kind of photo shoot, or in this case, from the same batch of generations. You almost certainly can't just put everything through at the same settings if you want them to be optimal. So I'm going to leave that around those figures. Face recovery and gamma correction I wouldn't touch for this particular image because it doesn't need them and it's not relevant.